Hello everybody, this is Forza Bob here, and wouldn't you believe it, it's 2021. A new year is upon us, so how about we usher in the new year in the best way possible by doing a tier list of some Miller Era episodes. Yeah, so let's just say I've been on a bit of a season 13 through 16 binge after I decided to watch one episode of the Miller Era for the fun of it. And then I decided, you know what, how about we binge watch the entire era, season 13 through 16, the entire Miller Era. And Rosa gave me the idea to make a tier list video out of these episodes, so I figured, you know what, I would come in, I would put my time to use, and I would make a tier list of every episode, you know, ranking every episode in such a way from the entire Miller Era.
Brony!
What?
What Chase Elliott are you doing? It's the start of a brand new year, and you're resorting to this?
You are literally the one that gave me this idea.
Yeah, well, you should have known this was a stupid idea. I mean, all you do these days is make stupid videos through a website. No one is gonna care in about a few years.
Shut up. We're gonna do this tier list, and you're gonna like it.
Yeah, whatever.
Alright, so let's get started. So I guess now I'll talk about the sections that I have for this video. So first up, we have the tolerable section. Now, so these episodes are going to be episodes that at least had something going for them. Basically, the episodes that are actually somewhat watchable, if you know what I mean. So episodes that are, you know, they're watchable without totally cringing, and yeah, they're generally episodes that are at least somewhat watchable. Next up, we have the room for improvement section. Now, these are episodes that could have been better had they had a rewrite or two. Like, these are episodes that could have actually been pretty solid episodes, but they, you know, and they could have been if they had some room for improvement. So this is going to be the room for improvement section. So next up, we have the section, and these are episodes that don't necessarily have that much room for improvement, but at the same time aren't really that bad. They're just average, pretty much. Next up, we have the good concept section. So this section is going to be episodes that could have been good if they had been done right. So these are essentially episodes that had a good concept that wasn't totally dumb, but was just horribly executed, if you know what I mean. And then we have the rabbit section, which pretty much speaks of these episodes are the worst of the worst, episodes that are just utterly stupid and exist just to make money because, you know, this is the Miller Era for ya. Alright, so those are the sections, so let's begin with the first episode, Creaky Cranky. What a way to start the era. Yeah, this episode was pretty dumb. Pretty much set the tone for the era. It was just Tim Tom trying to prove to Cranky that he's stronger, and it's just a dumb competition that just leads to a dumb episode idea. It's just a bunch of dumbness all around, so this goes into the rabbit section. Alright, next up we have the Lion of Sodor, another pretty stupid, rubbish episode where you have Tim Tom, who apparently thinks that his lion is alive, even though it's so stupid the way they just pour stuff into the crate thinking it's alive. Like, how does he not know that the lion is not alive? How does nobody pouring stuff in? How do they not realize themselves, oh, this lion isn't alive, it's a statue? So, just stupid episode. Alright, Tickled Pink, aka Bank Coaches Likes Men. Yeah, I had to make the joke. But that's a reference to Balcom Films YouTube poop, by the way. Anyway, Tickled Pink. Another dumb episode where you have Bank Coach is just trying to hide his colorway. It's just a dumb concept all around with Bank Coach and hiding and stuff. And I think in an actual episode he would have, you know, tried to just been self-aware of the fact that he's pink. But you know, we have to make Bank Coach just stay scared so we can have an episode. It's just a load of rubbish. Alright, Double Trouble. Yeah, Double Trouble is another pretty stupid episode, I gotta be honest. This episode just has the knockoff of the Fat Controller, who only appears, I think this is the one episode where he makes an appearance, and he never appears in the franchise ever again, and thank goodness, because he is such a stupid character. Yeah, so it's just a dumb episode, and how the heck is Sir Lomhat able to do these things where he gets into, like, the what am I saying? The signal box and he changes the points. How's that even allowed? So it's just a dumb episode that just goes way over the top and it's just no good at all. Alright, Slippy Soulless. Now, this episode is an interesting one for not actually interesting reasons. You got Mr. Bubbles, you have Tim Tom who's trying to deliver bubble liquid, and his and he's got a silly funnel in. You know what? This episode never would have happened if they would have just put a cap onto the barrel. Like, wouldn't they be smart enough to put a cap onto the barrel while it's in transportation and then, you know, take it off when they get to the actual show? And even then, why do they transport it by rail? Couldn't they just transport it by road or something? Like, it's so dumb. So it very much deserves to go into the rubbish section. Brownie! Now what? Why are you putting that episode in the rubbish section? I'll have you know that that's the best episode in the history of the franchise! And why is that? Because that's my best episode, and I'm the best character in the entire show! Mr. Bubbles, you're a funny guy, but just because you had a big role in an episode doesn't mean that the episode is any good. But it's my episode! They even included my bubble liquid! How about this? If you want to make excuses as to why this episode is so great, how about you go make your own tier list? Link is in the description. Fine! I will! I'll show you how it's done! Anyway, now with that out of the way, so now Percy's parcel. Again, another dumb episode where he tries to show a parcel to Mavis, and he tries so hard, yet fails so hard as well. And it's so stupid. Like, why? All these episodes are rubbish, by the way. Not all of them, but most of these episodes so far have been rubbish. I mean, you have Percy just trying to show a thing, and it's so stupid. Alright, Tobias's new 3-time steam whistle. I had to do that. Anyway, yeah, it's another pretty stupid episode where you have Tobias with the new whistle and stuff. He's all scared and stuff. Even I mean, to be fair, it kind of does suit Tobias's character to be afraid to, or does it? Nah, I don't know. Whatever. But just to keep it simple, I'm gonna put this episode into the rubbish section because this episode is. Well, it is what it is. It's just rubbish. A blooming mess. Yes, this was a blooming mess of an episode where you have Emily who's trying to decorate the quarry with flowers instead of just... It's so stupid. Why couldn't she just go to Mavis? And also, why was Mavis just sitting on top of a bridge on the main line? Like, why wasn't she in like a siding? Just the placement of this of this era was just so utterly stupid. So. And this was an utterly stupid episode. She could have just delivered the flowers to Knapford and just asked maybe. But yeah, we gotta have an episode, so this goes in the rap section. Alright, Tim Tom and the Runaway Kite. Another rubbish episode. Yeah, I should warn a lot of these episodes could be in the rubbish section, by the way. But don't worry, we will fill in these sections when we get to those episodes. I didn't put these thingies here for nothing. Anyway, but. Alright, Tim Tom and the Runaway Grandchildren. That was half an accident. So, another dumb episode where he's trying to chase a kite around instead of doing what he's actually supposed to be doing. And they have a kite flying contest. Do they really do those? I don't think they did those back in the 50s, you know. So, overall, it's a dumb episode. Just get out of here. The Early Bird, another very stupid episode where you have Tim Tom who is trying to deliver the mail. This is his first time on them doing the mail job, and he sucks at it because he blows his whistle. Although apparently this is about the characters getting a lack of sleep. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be that tired though if they woke up just an hour too early than they were supposed to be. Like, it's so stupid. And even Tim Tom not blowing his whistle in the morning, shouldn't he already know that? And by the way, I'm pretty sure he's done the mail at this point in time, but then again, the millionaire doesn't care about continuity, so it's a rubbish episode, no doubt about it. Steamy Soulless. I think this was the episode, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think this was the episode where Tim Tom was trying to take charge of the episode. Let me look. Alright, yes, I had to look it up, but Steamy Sodor is indeed the episode where Tim Tom takes control of the Steamworks and is just a complete and utter moron while doing it. You would think that Tim Tom would at least have somewhat of a brain, but no, as in theme with this whole era, Tim Tom has no brain and he just screws everything up. It goes into the rubbish section. Alright. Okay, now, I did say that we were going to use these sections and we're finally going to use it because now we finally come to an episode with some semblance of sanity, playtime. Now, I feel like this episode does at least suit Tim Tom's, like, behavior to show that he is indeed a fun angel to Charlie. And you know what? Charlie isn't even that bad of a character in concept. It's just he could have been written a bit better in, you know, episodes. So this episode wasn't even entirely dumb. In fact, I actually see this episode, you know, being a way of, you know, Tim Tom showing his ability to be fun. Although there are still some problems with this episode, so it's not totally perfect. There are some things that could have improved on, but overall, it's still a pretty good concept. So I'm gonna put this one in the room for improvement section. That is right. Finally, an episode with a sense of sanity. So playtime into the room for improvement section episodes. Now we come to the Splish Splash Splosh. Now, this is an interesting episode because, assuming this takes place after season 5, where Tim Tom is all mature and stuff, it's absolutely dumb how Tim Tom was able to play these, just play silly games. But I feel like if this were a season 1 episode where Tim Tom is still a young engine, I feel like then this episode would have made sense because it suits his jumpy behavior. He's playing these silly games and stuff. So if this episode were set during season 1, it would have been an actually pretty decent episode. So of course, again, there's still some parts of this episode that aren't perfect, but again, if this were a season 1 episode, it wouldn't be all that bad. So I'm gonna put this one into the room for improvement section. So overall, not a completely terrible episode, but it could have been better. Alright, biggest present of all. So this is another pretty decent episode, where you have Tim Tom was trying to find a present for Hero, and then he realizes that Hero has his, you know, his presents are. Actually, I'm pretty sure this episode. Let me check. Yes, I feel like this episode does somewhat suit Thomas's, you know, Tim Tom's way of thinking and trying to find a present stuff. So again, it could have been a little bit less ridiculous, and there could have been, you know, could have been better. So I'm gonna put this one in the room for improvement section. So not a completely terrible episode. It's got something going for it. It's not completely and utterly rubbish, but it still could have been better. And it's no track. So this episode, this is another room for improvement episode. I can't believe they actually featured this episode on the season 17 DVD at one point, and they had Mark Morgan, however you say his name, come and re-narrate the episode to fit the things. And you know what? In retrospect, it's not that bad of an episode, but I feel like it could have done with some room for improvement as well. So I'm gonna put this one in the room for improvement category as well. Now we have Henne's Good Deeds. Now, this episode, I'm just going to just get right off the bat, I'm going to put this one in the good concept section, I'm going to explain why. So, Henne's Good Deeds. I feel like this is at least an episode where Henne was, at least is, what I'm trying to say here. No, this is an episode where the concept suits Henne's, like, character. Like, this does seem, you know, it does seem like Henne would be this kind of engine to want to do good deeds for other Hennes on the island of Solwas, but the problem is that this episode is just horribly executed. Like, why do you have pigs on the side of the track in these stupid places? Why do you have... It's so... You know, how Farmatron has his pigs on the side of the track, and how Henne's trying to back away and do these things to help out, and he just screws it all up. And then he just screws away the Solwas Warbler. Jeez. Yeah, so this episode, just horrible execution, but at least somewhat of a good concept. So I feel like this could be the baseline... I feel like this could still be the baseline, though, of an actually decent and maybe even a good episode. I'm not sure how good you could make this concept, but it's a good concept nonetheless, I feel like, so that's why it's in the good concept section. Alright, Buzzy Bees. So now we're back to the rubbish, I'm afraid. So, Buzzy Bees. They were too busy buzzing. Just a stupid episode. I don't understand how the bees can fly out of the beehives. I don't know why they didn't just close them up before Tim Tom set off. So this episode is just rubbish. It's rubbish. Like, this episode never would have happened if they would have just clogged up the beehives. But no, they had to keep them open when Tim Tom was traveling. It's just such a stupid episode, the way that's executed. Tim Tom and the Pigs, another horrible episode where Tim Tom is just going around collecting things and doing stuff rather than doing what he's supposed to be doing, and that is getting straw for the pigs. It's so dumb how Tim Tom just gets these ideas rather than what he's supposed to do, so that one goes in the rap section. Time for a story. Yep, another rubbish episode, I'm afraid. Where Tim Tom is delivering trunks and he goes into a bumpy track and then it gets all messed up. And by the way, it's kind of weird in the end how they have the picnic in a field of broken railway equipment and books that are a complete mess. It's so stupid and ridiculous, so it goes into the rubbish section. And now coming on to the last episode of season 13, Hero helps out. I get where they were trying to go with this episode, but it's just Hero just being a complete moron about things. yeah, this is not a good episode at all. So, gonna go this one to the wrap-up section. Alright, so there we go. That's season 13. Time for season whatever. Season 14 time. So, Tim Tom's Tall Friend, a really stupid episode to cap off, to start off the new season. Just an episode where you have Tim Tom trying to get an elephant, a giraffe to sit down. You have him feeding him with stuff, and he gets tired. It just I don't know why Tim Tom wasn't smart enough to wait for the duck or the whatever, the guy who's trying to make the, you know what it is. Just overall a dumb episode that never would have happened had, you know, Tim Tom had a brain and waited for the guy to come up, and but he didn't. So yeah, this episode is rubbish. Very rubbish indeed. Alright, Jimsy in the dark. Bangkok's in the dark. This is another rubbish episode where you have Bangkok just who apparently doesn't want to wear a lamp, and I mean it does kind of suit his character, but it's just a dumb concept for that. And by the way, doesn't it go against railway regulations to run at nighttime without a headlight, or run without a headlight in general? So it's just a dumb episode. And you would think that Bangkok would be smart enough to still run with a headlight, you know, because of the circumstances, but no, he runs without a headlight and basically, I think he breaks rail regulations along with it. So it's a garbage episode. So it goes to the rubbish. Alright, Pingy Pongy Pickup, another rubbish episode. Yeah, this episode was pretty dumb, where you have Emily who's trying to get a more important job, and it's just this episode never would have happened if Emily had never just blabbered out about football or whatever the sport was. And it's such a stupid episode, and Emily is such a moron in this era, by the way. I don't think she had one good episode in this entire era. So Pingy Pongy Pickup, just a rubbish episode. And by the way, shouldn't they have the clothes washed up for the players, like before the game even begins or something, like before the day or something? It's such a dumb episode that makes absolutely no sense. Alright, Charlie and Eddie. Now here's an alright episode. This is an episode that I feel like does also suit Edward's character. It's kind of along the same line as Playtime, where it suits the character. I feel like though Charlie could have been written a bit better, you know, a bit less like up in the air and stuff. So I'm gonna put this one in the room for improvement section. Overall, not a completely dumb episode, but could have done with a rewrite or two. Alright, Tobias in the Whistling Woods. Yeah, this is essentially an episode about an engine just getting scared of the woods. I don't understand why he didn't just get help from the engine in the first place, but it's just a stupid episode. So into the wrap section it goes. Alright, Henda's Health and Safety. I'm gonna check which episode this was. Alright, so Henda's Health and Safety. Now, this episode isn't actually completely dumb. I think this episode, I'm not just sure whether to put in the room for improvement or good concept section or just the ass section, because here's the thing. You have Henna, who is trying to keep the railway in good condition, so at least he's somewhat in character. But then you have Preserp, who's running around trying to find cars that are, for some reason, stranded in the middle of the line. Are you kidding me? So, I don't know. I feel like it kind of makes sense. I'm kind of stuck on this one. Like, do I give it the room for improvement section because it could be better, or do I put in the good concept section because it was just a bad execution? I don't know. I really don't know about this one. I don't know. I'll come back to this one episode later, because how about this? We'll put in the ass section for the time being. Yeah, I think I'm going to just leave in the ass section for now, because it's not completely dumb, but it's not completely sane either. It could have been better. Alright, Dizizo's special delivery. Okay, well now we're back to the rubbish, because you have Dizizo, who is trying to make the children happy by stealing others' stuff, when he could have just done his job in the first place, and this episode never would have happened. But no, it's just Dizizo trying to be a show-off, so into the rap section it goes. Alright, Pop Goes Tim Tom. Now this is at least somewhat of an episode with some sort of sanity. So Pop Goes Tim Tom. I feel this episode is along the same lines as Splish Splash Splunks, where if this were a season 1 episode, it could have worked with some rejecting, so I'm going to put this one in the room for improvement section. Alright, next up we have Victor Says Yes. Now, I'm not sure about this episode, because the thing is that it does make sense for Victor to have, you know, try to do all this stuff, but just the way, well, I don't know. I feel like this episode is even that bad of an execution, but there is some stuff that is like badly executed. Like, this episode definitely could have been better. So, I think I'm gonna put this one in the room for improvement section because it's not too bad of a Victor episode, but it could have been a lot better. So, I think we'll put this one in the room for improvement section. Okay, Tim Tom in charge. Now, this episode, I'm just gonna straight up put it in the Rabbit section because the thing with this episode is that this could have been a decent episode where you have Tim Tom trying to show what the engines can do, but instead it's just him rounding up all the engines and trying to make them look busy at random dogs, so they just screw it all up. And actually, I don't know. Actually, for that reason, I'm actually gonna put in the good concept section because I feel like in concept this episode could have actually. I don't know. I'm not sure. Do I put it in the complete rabbit section or do I put it in the good concept section? I think what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna leave it in the good concept section for the time being. Because I feel like this episode could have been better executed if, per se, they just skip right to the part where they're working at random docks. And I don't know, I feel like this could have been an episode where Tom, although to be fair, Tim Tom also could have just done his job in the first place and just impressed them. I don't know, I feel like this could have been a better episode if it was, rather than about Tim Tom rounding up all the engines, he could have just, showed them how to do it in random docks and they could have worked. So, I don't know. It's not totally dumb, so I'm gonna leave in the good concept section for time to make. So being Percy Sep. Another episode that isn't completely dumb, but I feel like the concept actually. Now here's the thing. I'm gonna put this one in the good concept section because the concept of Percy Sep, wanting to be like Gurdjieff to get his jobs done, does at least suit his character, but it's horribly executed when you have Tim Tom who was skipping stations, not doing his job right, and just screwing around. And so I think I'm gonna leave this one in the good concept section, but it could have been a lot better, which is why it's in the good concept section. Alright, Merry Winter Wish. Now I'm pretty sure this is the episode where you have Tim Tom delivering a star. First of all, the Star of Nafra is such a dumb concept. Then you have the bit where Tim Tom is apparently trying to deliver the thing around Sowas, trying to get the engines to make their wishes. And what good is that for? Why do you have Tim Tom just going around the place? Like, why doesn't he just deliver it straight to there and the engine and make the wishes already there? And just the Star of Nafra is just so dumb. So yeah, it's gonna have to go to the rabbit section. Not much way you can say this episode. Alright, Tim Tom and the Snowman Party. So this is one. Now, I don't think this is a very well liked episode, but I'm gonna put in the good concept section because I feel like this does at least suit Tim Tom's. Actually, I might even put it in the room for improvement section because here's the thing: you have Tim Tom who was going around the place and collecting hats to the to put on the snowman. So it does at least suit his character. But it could have been better, I feel like, in some areas. So, but I don't know, this episode in retrospect isn't even that bad, so I'm gonna put in the room for improvement section. Alright, Tim Tom's Crazy Day. Now here's an episode that is pretty bad because you have Tim Tom who's on one hand he's trying to show the logging losers how to do it right at random docks, and on the other hand he's trying to play with Percy Sep. And then later in the episode he realizes that he can't do two things at once, and he just brings Percy Sep to the random docks at the later in the episode. Why didn't he just do it in the first place? Why didn't he just say to Percy Sep, "Hey, I got a job at Brenham Docks. You want to come and help me out?" Percy Sep would have been like, "Sure." And you know what? I feel like this episode would have actually been an entertaining one had it been, instead of Tim Tom Percy Sep showing them the ways at Brenham Docks. So I just said perhaps, but I'm actually going to put in the good concept section because this could have actually been a pretty fun episode if it was about Tim Tom and Percy Sep showing the logging losers the way at Brenham Docks. But no, instead about Tim Tom trying to do multiple things at once. So it just winds up being stupid. Alright, Jumping Joby Wood. Now, this episode is just straight up rubbish because you have... Here's the worst part about this episode that really annoyed me when I watched this one. So, it starts out with the Fat Controller saying that the logging losers should try to do things right on the railway. And then you have Tim Tom going in and saying, "I don't need your help, I can do this myself." And then later in the episode you have Tim Tom saying, "I'm sorry, sir. I should have brought the logging losers with me." When really, it should have been Tim Tom telling the Fat Controller, "Well, you're the one that told me that the logging losers, bringing them to the Misty Island Resi was a bad idea. So this is your fault." It should have been the Fat Controller. "Oh, I see now. You're right. I should have let you taken the logging losers with you." And then you have him conveniently showing up out of nowhere. Like, are you kidding me? The fact controllers have better things to do besides not come to a stupid island where it's just a stupid episode that honestly doesn't get talked about enough for being terrible. So, yeah, this episode was really, really bad. So, into the rapper section it goes. Alright, now Tim Tom and Scruff. I'm not sure about this one actually because this episode wasn't totally dumb. I might actually just put this episode in the ass section because this episode wasn't completely and utterly dumb. But at the same time, it could have been a little bit better in some places. So, I say that. It could have been that much better. So, I don't know, this episode was pretty much what you'd expect. So, yeah, I think into the ass section it goes because it's just... I mean, the concept is fine, I guess. But the execution is just ass well. So, yeah. So, into the ass section it goes. Alright, All the Indignity, another rubbish episode where I just have Gridrin who is just there trying to do his... He doesn't get anything done because he's too afraid that he's going to get laughed at by the other Innes and just... It's just a dumb concept. It's the dumb all-around episode. You honestly can't say this one, so... Into the rapper section it goes. Okay, now, Jitters and Japes. Now, this episode was actually pretty good. I'm just gonna start by putting the tolerable section because this, I'd say, so far, as of where we're at this point in this tier list, this is the best episode of the entire season because it's not totally dumb. It actually has a pretty good concept going forward, and it was actually half enjoyable because nothing stupid happened, nothing ridiculous happened. It was actually a pretty fun episode. Like I feel like the bit where you have Tim Tom trying to make Dahl happier, in the beginning bit, I feel like could have been shortened up a bit. It could have been more of an episode about Tim Tom, taking Dahl on this cool, fun adventure along the best parts of Misty Island. So it's just generally a pretty alright episode. It's actually watchable without totally cringing your eyes out. So yeah, I gotta say I actually kind of like this episode in a way. Could have been there. It could have had some small improvements. It's not perfect, but it's not totally dumb either. So yeah, I'd watch this episode a few times over just for the fun of it. I actually remembered this episode being pretty decent back when I first watched it way back when. And rewatching it, yeah, it's not that bad. So into the tolerable section it goes. It's still not good, but it's almost good. So that's why it's intolerable because it's watchable. Okay, Merry Misty Island. Now, I think I'm gonna put this one into the... I'm not actually sure. Do I put into the rabbi section or put into the room for improvement section? Because the thing is that you have the Logie losers trying to host their own Christmas party and they screw it all up. Yeah, I don't really know about this episode. It's not totally dumb, but it's still pretty dumb. It's just... I don't know, man. I'm not sure about this one, to be honest. So, I actually feel like it goes in the ass section, to be honest. Like, it doesn't really fit this section, but it doesn't really fit this section either, so... I'm gonna put it in the ass section, because it doesn't have that much room for improvement, but it's a sausage episode, so there you go. And then there's Magic Box. Now, this episode is so famously bad, I don't even need to tell you why it's rubbish. Just watch the episode itself, or watch the Engine Inspector episode of this episode to know why it's bad. But, yeah, this episode has been talked about so much, it's not even worth talking about at this point, so I'm just gonna just save you time and put into the wrap section. Alright, Season 15. So, Gridrin and Ferdinand. Oof, what a bad way to start the season. You have Tim Tom. No, not Tim Tom. You have Gridrin, who is trying to... Okay, first of all, you have a 2-engine job with the line of Solus. Already, why you need 2 engines? You could have just stacked these two on a more interesting special, or more bigger special. special. Also, you have Gridrin just being embarrassed of being around Ferdinand, and... I mean, I would be too. But just the way this episode executed just isn't that good, and I don't know why they just stop. There was a crowd and stuff for absolutely no reason. It's just a pretty rubbish episode. So yeah, into the rap session it goes. All right, Toby and Bash. Now this episode, I think I'm gonna put this one into the good concept section because actually I might put this into the ass section because the thing about this episode is that it's not totally utterly dumb, but the concept isn't that much better either, so to keep it simple, I'm just going to just have it in the category. Alright, now for Emily and Dash, yeah, this episode was pretty bad, I gotta say. It wasn't that good. Because you have Emily and Dash trying to do this silly trick, and then you have her leaving Dash in the middle of the main line because that's legal. So, yeah, it's just an all-around dumb episode, so I'm going to put this one into the rapper section and, yeah, just leave it there. Alright, Pretty New Friends. Now, this is an episode that a lot of people say is bad. I was actually thinking about this one, and actually, yeah, I think it deserves a, I don't know. I was thinking about putting the good content section because I feel like this at least suits Pretty, you know, motive to find some new friends to play with. I don't know, actually, do I put in the and section or do I just leave it in the rabbit section? A lot of people might say I should put this in the rabbit section because this episode was just complete rubbish, but I don't know, this episode wasn't completely and utterly dumb. You know, let's keep it simple, but I'm just going to put in the and section because, you know what, it's not that bad of an episode, but it could be whatever. Okay, Edward the Hero. Time to move on. So, another episode that wasn't completely dumb, although why is Edward working on the fire search and rescue thingamajiggy when he should probably be, you know, doing his own jobs or something? So, although it's not a completely stupid episode, I feel like you have Edward learning more about himself, but at the same time, it just wasn't that well executed. So, I think we'll put this one in the good concept section because it wasn't totally dumb. It does somewhat suit his character, but at the same time, it could have been a lot better. Alright, Bangkok's to the rescue. Oof, oof. Now, this episode was bad. And it's also a universally hated episode. And yeah, for good reason, this episode was really bad. Because this episode treats Bangkok so badly. You have him not only being a complete moron, but also being a train racist. Yeah. You have Bangkok is trying to show steam trams can't be rescue engines. So it's like, it's so rubbish because you have Bangkok just being stupid, and it's just like, come on. I don't know why you just can't use his brain. Like, I get, you know, like, sure, for memes, this would be a funny episode, Bangkok's being stupid and trying to do things, but this episode, it tries to be serious and yet it fails, so it's terrible. It's very bad. It's awful. So, yeah. Alright, now, Happy Hero. So this episode wasn't totally dumb. I feel like it's sometimes trying to understand Hero a bit better, but at the same time, this episode could have been, you know, it's not totally dumb, so I'm going to put in the good concept section for now. But I feel like this episode could at least have been better, as in, like, could have been, you know, more speedier, if you know what I mean. You know, Tim Tom getting to the point quicker, rather taking as long as he did. And, yeah, so, although I feel like this does at least work in concept, because you have Tim Tom trying to, you know, make Hero happier, but it's just a little bit silly how you have Tim Tom trying to do things, so, yeah. So, yeah, good concept, not much more to say there. Up, Up, and Away. Oof. You know what? This is another episode that is just so universally hated and universally talked about. It's one of the worst episodes of the entire franchise, so at this point I think everyone knows why this episode is rubbish. It's not even we're talking about something, at the same time putting the rubbish section, just an overall dumb episode that just, it just sucks. It's really bad. And, yeah. I mean, I was thinking about putting the good concept section because I feel like it could have been interesting, but it's just not a good episode at all. So I think it's just safe to put in the wrap-up section because it's just really, really dumb, really dumb indeed. All right, Henna's Happy Coal. So, another very bad episode where you have Henna, who is trying to show that they can run normal coal, but first of all, why are we even making this into an episode? Because I thought that we fixed the special cool episode way back in season 1, and now we're bringing it back. It's rubbish. It's terrible. It's utterly awful. This episode was awful. It was so bad. It wasn't even good. It was just stupid because you have Henna, who was apparently served by Spencer Cole 15 or however many years after season 1, and then you have the Diesels who are just making fun of him, and it's dumb, it's stupid, it's rubbish. Just get it out of here. Alright, Let It Snow. Another pretty dumb episode, I gotta be honest, because you have Tim Tom trying to show Gurdjieff the snow song, which in itself is just a dumb concept, so it's not even worth getting into, to be honest. Yeah, dumb concept, dumb episode, dumb everything. Yeah, this episode was rubbish. just rubbish because, again, it's just Tim Tom trying to do things, and it just why doesn't he just do his job? You know, it's so dumb. All right, surprise, surprise. So I think this was the episode about So Was Surprise Day. And yeah, it was pretty dumb, I'll be honest. Yeah, first of all, you have So Was Surprise Day. You have Tim Tom acting all stupid and stuff, making these stupid mistakes. Although, I don't know, I'm thinking about putting this one in the good concept section because I feel like this episode could have been better had it been, you know, rewritten a few times and stuff. For the most part, yeah, it's just not a good episode though, and it's stupid. And the kind of So Was Surprise Day, like what is that? Why is this a thing? Why is this a thing? I feel like this could have been at least a fun episode, so I'm gonna put in the good concept section, and I guess I should mention the good concept section the episodes don't necessarily have to be good episodes. They just have to be episodes that are, you know, just good concept but poor executions, pretty much. Alright, so back to the grand. Now this episode was just a dumb concept because yeah, Finn was trying to get its final way through the fog, and it's just an absolutely ridiculous episode. So it's just gonna go to the wrap-up section because it's Spencer just trying to do something and it's stupid. All right, just watch the episode and that's why it's stupid. There you go. All right, so that was another wrap-up episode because you have Birdie who's going around the place trying to take him on a tour and see the sights of the rails, and I don't know why is this even a thing in the first place? It's so rubbish. Birdie should have just been smart enough to decline the idea and just it never happened. Just a rubbish episode. Get out of here. Alright, stuck on you. Yeah, you know, so this episode brought Butch back into the series. Said the execution of that was terrible because you have them getting overexcited and not knowing anything about magnets. So yeah, so I guess it's an interesting way to bring Butch back in, but other than that, yeah, it's bad. It's terrible. This episode never would have happened if they would just figure out how to use the magnet in the first place. And yeah, so yeah, it's a rubbish episode. Big Bell, another pretty bad episode because you have the Bells of Sowas trying to do things, and then you have Toby, who he is just such a wimp in this era. Like, I don't know what the writers were trying to do with Toby, but again, he is just such a complete wimp in this era. Like, I mean, he was still somewhat of a wimp in the Brenner era, but here it's worse. So you have Tobias, who's just this complete wimp, and then you have Belle, who's trying to be all up in the air about being the Bells of Sowas, and then you have her ring your bell super loudly station. I think she would know better rather by now. So yeah, it's just so. I mean, you know what? It's an interesting pairing though. At least like having two endings with bells. It should be a good pairing, and it should make for a good episode, but it doesn't. It's just rubbish. So, yeah. It's stupid. I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, the only good thing about the pairing, but just the concept of it is just stupid, so, yeah. Actually, I don't know. I'm going to put this one in the good concept section, because the thing is that this episode at least had something good for it. But just the execution was just absolutely terrible, so I guess the character pairing, yeah, honestly, really the only good concept, though, was, like, the character pairing is interesting, but just the overall execution is just absolutely terrible, so I'm going to put it in the good concept section, because, again, it's a good pairing, but that's about it. The rest of this episode is terrible, but it's not stupidly rubbish, I guess. You know what I mean? Alright, Kevin the Steamy. Now, this episode, I remember this being a fun episode, and you know what? I kind of like this episode, I gotta be honest. Yeah. I mean, I don't like it, but I like it enough to put above the rap, like at least in the good concept section, because you know, Kevin the Steamy, it seems in character for him to give the writers credit where credit is due. But you know, I'm gonna leave in the good concept section though, because actually, I might even put this in the room for improvement section, because this episode wasn't totally and utterly rubbish. Like, I feel like with a rewrite 2, this episode could have actually been good. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. With the rewrite 2, this episode could have actually been a solid one. I will give them credit where credit is due. It could have been a solid episode had it just been rewritten a few times. So, there you go. Alright, One Key Whistle. Just gonna save time for the rubbish section. You all know why this episode is rubbish. And if you don't, just watch the episode. So, yeah, not even talk about this episode. Alright, Purse of the Snowman. Oh dear. This episode was pretty bad. I mean, first of all, you have Pursup who is snowed up in snow. And you don't get him out of it for the whole episode. Instead, you have Tim something as John trying to get the children to make him happier. And, yeah, it's just a ridiculous episode, a ridiculous concept, a ridiculous everything. So I'm just gonna put in the rabbit section. It's stupid, it's rubbish, and it's stupid. Alright, Tree Trouble. Now this episode, it's above the rabbit section, alright? It's above the rabbit section. But where to put in here? It's not tolerable. It could have been better. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put this episode in the room for improvement section because you know what? The thing about this episode is that, I feel like with a rewrite 2, this episode could have actually been good. Like a competition. Sometimes trying to better Tree than the others, and you know what? I feel like this episode actually. No. Here's the thing about this episode. I feel like this episode is actually a pretty solid one. Not bad, but solid. Up until the bit where you have Gridgen, who for some reason is going on the Misty Island track at this very convenient timing, and then you have the Angels bring up their Christmas trees. I feel like this episode could have actually come to a better conclusion if it was instead Delorge had saying that I think both your trees look nice, and then you have the Steamies and the Diesels coming to the agreement that yeah, we're both equally good. So it could be an episode about, you know, equality, like one isn't better than the other and stuff, you know. So yeah, it could have been a good lesson, but instead it was about stupidity. So yeah, room section it goes. And now you have Fiery Flynn, the finale to season 15. Oh my goodness, this episode was awful. Like, you have this brand new fire engine and it's just a complete and utter moron. Like, what in the world were they thinking when they made this episode? Like, you have him just being a moron, and the Inspector already made a good video talking about this episode and why it sucks. So yeah, it's just rubbish. Not really that much more to talk about. So into the rubbish section it goes. Alright, now for Race to the Rescue. So we're on to season 16. One more season to go. Yeah, by the way, I like how season 15 wraps up with an episode starring Flynn, and then season 16 starts off with an episode with Flynn as the main, starts out with Flynn as the main role. And oh my goodness, this episode was terrible. It was bad. It was so bad, just utterly terrible, because you have Flynn, who for some reason doesn't know how to drive on the road, and he's scared of being called a big red wobble on wheels, and just the mere fact of Flynn not knowing how to drive on the road. Are you kidding me? Why didn't he figure this out in training? You know, why is this even an episode? Like, I get, they say, oh, I haven't run on the road in quite a while. Like, what? How did you just get rusty then? Just an awful episode, terrible, stupid concept, stupid everything. So that's by the way, that's Flynn's entire season, Miller era episodes collection, and yeah, I guess kind of fame that both these episodes just suck. I mean, to be fair though, Flynn didn't really have that many good episodes in the Brenner era either. Like, I don't know what it is, but the writers just can't seem to make up a good episode for Flynn. So next we have Old Wheezy Walls. I actually forget the concept of this one. Okay, so this episode is essentially the episode where you have Old Wheezy being broken or something. You have Tim Tom trying to get the Diesels. Now, this episode was just straight put in the rabbit section because, I don't know why Tim Tom just didn't get the two Diesels in the first place, but of course we never plot. Otherwise, this episode can't happen, and we need an episode. So yeah, this episode it just sucks. It sucks. It just absolutely sucks. Express coming through. Oh my goodness, this episode was really bad. I don't know why Tim Tom thought they could pull the Express. I don't know why someone didn't go up to him and say, "You can't do this." See, the thing is that this episode never would have happened if the railwayman had been smart enough to stop Tim Tom from doing it, and just told him off and just told him to get Andy and Incredible like he was supposed to. So yeah, it's rubbish. It's just rubbish. Alright, first up in the Monster of Brendam now. Here is an episode that airs at least half decent. Actually, season 16 comprised of mostly decent episodes. I should just say that right now. So, first up in the Monster of Brendam. This episode, yeah, it's not terrible. It's not utterly rubbish. In fact, I'm thinking about putting it in the room for improvement section because this episode could have crawled into the tolerable section if it had a little bit of salt. Actually, I don't know. I might put this one in the tolerable section because it's not totally stupid. It's actually somewhat watchable. I'll be honest. Yeah, I know I'm being kind, but this episode, it's kind of watchable. I don't know. I don't know. They're putting the tolerable section. They're putting the room for improvement section because fun if they actually mentioned this episode in a season 19 episode. So this episode is canon. All right, so I've come to a conclusion. I've said I'm gonna put this episode into the tolerable section. Please work. There we go. Okay, that works. Good. Alright, so I'm gonna put this one in all the way up in the tolerable section because the thing about this episode is that it's so watchable. It's so watchable. It's not perfect. Actually, yeah, I'm stupid, by the way. I'm gonna actually put in the room for that because you know what? I should mention this episode isn't perfect. It was almost good, but yeah, it's got some minor faults, so I'm gonna put this one into the room for improvement section to keep it simple. I thought about it, but yeah, completely room for improvement. So yeah, there you go. Ho Snowman. Now this episode I feel like is actually kind of a funny one because while Henry is a complete wimp, I feel like Charlie's games, I actually relate to Charlie in this episode. Like I honestly feel like I am the person who likes to play tricks on people who are just sausages, if you know what I mean. So, but at the same time, this episode wasn't entirely good. So I'm gonna put this one into the section for now. Yeah. Because the thing about this episode, the thing about Henna is a complete wimp in this episode, as he usually is in this era. But at the same time, this episode's still somewhat watchable, so I'm still gonna put this one in the ass section. Not a completely terrible episode, but not that good of a good one either. Flashbang Wall. Now this is another one that I feel like goes into the ass section because, or at least room for improvement because, I feel like Ant is honestly the most suitable place for this episode because. The thing is that this episode isn't completely and utterly dumb, but at the same time isn't that good either. It's just mediocre at best, to be honest. So I think the Ant section is probably the best one because, you have Tim Tom who's trying to get his picture taken, but he's also a bit of a moron at all doing it. So yeah. But this episode wasn't totally actually. Think about that. I think I might lower this one actually to the good concept section because this episode does seem good in concept. Like this could have been a legit competition between Gurdjun and Tim Tom trying to get the most pictures, but instead it just becomes an episode about camera gets destroyed after a while because Tim Tom is big stupid. I think Appendix is running as a light engine for some reason, yeah, could have been better, but. I'm gonna put this one in the good concept section for the time being. Also, isn't this title card literally used from the opening? Yeah, this is literally used from this episode. Oh my goodness, no wonder. Alright, since I'm on the rubbish train, I'm gonna put this one in the ass section once again this episode in the ass section because the thing about this episode is that this episode is at least somewhat to Tim Tom's character, but at the same time, it could have been better had it been I mean, this episode didn't really have that much promise though going into it, so, but it's not totally dumb. Like the execution is alright, I suppose. So I'm gonna put in the ass section for simples. Alright, Tim Tom Toos the Crows. Again, people say this episode is bad, and I mean, to be fair, this episode isn't that good, but I'm gonna put in the ass section because the thing about this episode is that it does somewhat suit his character, and chasing the crows. I actually thought it was kind of funny. Not for the right reasons, but I thought it was kind of funny. So I'm gonna put this one in the ass section. It's not totally dumb, but the concept isn't that good either. Well, I mean it's good. It's better than it's like the concept is above the level of good, but it's not it's not the level of room for improvement. Like, there's not much improvement we can make in this episode. I'm sorry. Right. Bust my balls. Yeah, I had to do it. Yeah, this episode was another one because, I mean, this episode does kind of suit Gurdjian's character, but, of him trying to get, proper buffers, but at the same time, it's not, you can't really improve it much, so, it's a somewhat watchable episode, but at the same time, it's not that good of an episode, so, I'm gonna put in the ass section. Alright, Peruse up in the Calliope. Now, here's an episode that's actually pretty solid. I'm gonna put this one in the tolerable section because I feel like this episode does at least suit Percy Syrup's character, trying to improve the Calliope and stuff like that, and we're trying to do sausages and stuff. So yeah, this episode's actually quite watchable and does at least have somewhat of a happy ending to it. So yeah, I mean, the thing about this episode that it wasn't totally dumb, it wasn't completely terrible, it wasn't Fraser being stupid and things. You know, he actually does try to fix the collab in such a way that eventually does work in the end. So well done, Fraser. You actually did something right in your life for once. So it could have had a small improvements, but I'm gonna put in the tolerable section because it at least is good enough to be able to be watched. So there you go. Not terrible, but not. It's not terrible. It's good. All right. It's watchable. There you go. That's why it's in tolerable section. All right. Tim Tom and the Sounds of Solus. So, this episode is an interesting one because I feel this episode could have been better. To be honest, I'm gonna put in the. I mean, I'm actually thinking, do I put this in the room for improvement section or in the tolerable section? Because the thing about this episode is that I feel this episode could have been better if Tim Tom had just known that, you know, the sounds of Solus means the sounds of sea minutes rather than birds and stuff. So, actually, I'm going to put in the ass section because, you know, it's not entirely unwatchable, but at the same time, the concept is kind of silly and could have been better, could have done better. So, yeah, I'm going to put in the ass section for the time being. I will at least say the musician guy was kind of funny. Alright, Salty Surprise. Now, here's an episode that's actually kind of decent. So, Salty Surprise. Now, this episode, probably the best episode of the entire era. That's not saying much, but I think I'm going to give it to Salty Surprise as being the very best episode of the entire Miller era. Because you have Ed Wood, who, you know, is trying, you know, he's in character. He's trying to give Salty a present, you know, and Salty is actually in character as well. Salty's not a complete moron. He's actually in character and talks in the way that, you know, he probably would have been if it were a Brenner era episode, or even a Broadway era episode, maybe. So yeah, I feel like that's a good moral to it. You know, he's giving, rather giving Salty an actual gift, you're giving him a story to tell, which is actually kind of cool. And I do quite like Salty as a character, by the way, just his storytelling. I can actually relate to Salty, you know, with stories and stuff. So yeah, but the reason I'm gonna put in the tolerable section, it's actually, you know, I would even give this episode a good section, you know, if I could, but you know, it's, I don't know, it's, I want to say it's good. So there you go. It's an episode. It's watchable. All right, Solar Surprise Day. Oh dear, I gotta check this one. Okay, I just realized something. I actually confused this episode with the surprise episode because I thought that surprise was the episode to do with Solar Surprise Day. Where is it? Ah, oh, great, can't find it. Where is it? There we go. Now, surprise. I'm actually going to bring this episode back down here because I actually confused this episode with Solar Surprise Day. So for that reason, I'm actually going to put this episode into the good concept section, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's good concept. Because it's just, for the most part, it's ridiculous, but yeah. So Solar Surprise, I actually confused the one with surprise. So I'm just going to go back in and look at this episode, but yeah, Solar Surprise Day. Again, just dumb concept, silly episode. I mean, I feel like this episode could have at least worked somewhat if it was made less ridiculous. So that's why it's in the good concept section. So let's see what surprise actually is. Okay, so I'm pretty sure surprise is actually I thought I already talked about this episode already, but I don't know, maybe I'm just having a memory lapse. So, but you know, surprise. Now. Again, I initially thought this was the episode where you have Solar Surprise and we're probably still going to be in the good concept. But no, surprise. I totally forgot. I just realized it now. This is actually the episode where you have Tim Tom who's trying to help out the engines, and also Stanley makes an appearance where he's trying to, you know, get them to a party and stuff. And but it turns out to be a bit salty, you know, in the end. So, but you know what? I can at least see what this episode was trying to do. So I'm going to put this one in the room for improvement section because this episode wasn't perfect, but it could have at least had something to it. It could have been better than, you know, than what it was. So I'm gonna put in the room for improvement section. Alright, next up we have Emily's Winter Party Special. Okay, this episode was bad. It was bad, dude. Because here's the thing: you have Emily, who's finding the Fat Controller's hat, and then she decides to take the present train anyway, despite not finding the hat, and then you have it's just a dumb episode. And by the way, Emily has this theme in this era where she's just a complete moron in this era. Like, I don't think Emily had one single good episode in this entire era. It's a shame. So yeah, Emily, this is a dumb episode, stupid concept, and Emily is a moron. Simple as that. Okay, Money Matters. Oh, dearie, dearie me. Now we get into, we're on the home stretch now. We're getting into some rubbish, and Money Matters is a rubbish episode because you have bank coaches who apparently he's afraid of getting dirty. He's afraid of getting the animals dirty and stuff like that, and it's dumb because, you know, you have bank coaches. Why don't you just take the risk and try to save his show or save his delivery? It's just such a dumb episode, and I think the main problem is that it's just they try to make it out as an episode where Bangkok is the one to get himself dirty, but it just fails because he's just so overly cautious, and it's dumb. It's very dumb. It's pretty dumb. It's rubbish. It's terrible. Alright, Whiff's Wish. This is an episode that I'm actually gonna put this one in the good concept section, because the thing about Whiff's Whiffy Wish, it should have been called that, Whiff's Whiffy Wish, is that it kind of makes sense that he wants to be his grand sponsor and stuff, but, you know, he tries to be overly so by picking up other people's deliveries and then not delivering them. This would have been a better actually, you know what? I'm actually bump this one up to room for improvement, because this episode could have been a lot better if it instead to do with, you know, Whip trying to do all those things while doing his regular garbage duties and stuff like that. So yeah. So on that note, Whiff's Whiffy Wish. It's it's not terrible. It could have been better. Would have been better too, but that's why we're putting in the room for improvement section. So there you go. Okay, 4 more episodes to go, and here we go. Okay, so welcome Stafford. This episode was bad. Just gonna say it right now. You know, I don't know what it is, but the writers just can't seem to make a good episode out of Stafford, and this episode specifically was about being, you know, an episode like batteries run out. Yes, in the same way that steamies run out of coal and water after a while. And by the way, I don't think it's that realistic for Stafford to have that short of a battery life. Like, are you kidding me? You're this battery engine that's supposed to be all cool and battery-ish and electric. I'm an electric engine. And the thing with Stafford, though, is that, to be fair, the Brenner era couldn't even make a good episode out of Stafford. Like, Steamy Stafford was a pretty weird episode, so the problem with Stafford is that beyond him being an electric engine, you can't really do that much better with Stafford. So yeah, just generally the writers just can't seem to make a good episode out of Stafford. And also, how does Stafford make it back to the charging station every single time he runs out as well? Like, does someone just help him there or something, or does he just magic his way over to there? So I feel at least Spencer was somewhat of a decent character in this, but it's just Stafford just not a very good character at all. I will say the character pairing is interesting, but other than that, yeah, this episode is just complete trash. Then again, to be fair, neither was Steamy Stafford. Like, that episode was also pretty weird, and you know, that episode was about Stafford being, you know, not making that much noise, and you see how that goes. So the thing with Stafford is that beyond him being electric, you just can't write that good of a story for him. So anyway, I blabbered on about this long enough. Alright, time for Don't Follow the Victor, the one and only episode which focuses on the narrow gauge railway. And oh my goodness, it's bad. It's so bad, because wouldn't Peter Sam be smart enough to just try and get Victor in the first place? But no, he thinks he can run the railway in such a way and sucks at it. And yeah, I don't know, this episode is just, it's bad. It's pretty bad. And yeah. That's honestly all I can say, to be honest. It's just bad, because just Peter Sam is just a complete moron. So this was the one episode of the whole era that had to do with the narrow gauge engines, and the episode in question was very bad. Happy birthday, sir. Now here's a pretty good episode. Now, I'm gonna give this one all the way up to the tolerable section because here's the thing with Happy Birthday, Sir. I feel like this episode, it could have been slightly improved, but apart from that, I feel like this episode is at least watchable. And yeah, it's an interesting episode about Winston. You know, I feel like everyone is in character in this one because you have Winston. Well, Winston's being a bit silly, but you know, at least Sim Tom, you know, trying to get him straight, you know, makes sense for his character. The Fat Control, I feel like, is in character as well, and you have Ed Wood, you know, making a cool scene. Although, really, the only ridiculous thing about this episode is how the heck were they able to restore that old train car in an afternoon? But other than that, yeah, it's actually a pretty tolerable episode. Like, this episode is, it's watchable. It's not that bad. It's good. It's tolerable. Okay, it's not whatever. You get the point. It's watchable. There you go. And now we come to the end of an era, and what a way to go out. I might as well say right now, this episode is rubbish. The Christmas Tree Express, because you have Renee's who's trying to push Toby to go faster. Then you have, you know, Tobias is a wimp as usual. I don't know why he doesn't listen. It's just, it's such a dumb episode. It's stupid. And by the way, they had the balls to wait until Christmas Day of 2012 to air this episode. Yeah, just imagine, you know, expecting a brand new Tim Tam episode on Christmas Day and the episode sucks. And what a way to go out. Oh, this episode was awful. It was so bad. It was so dumb. Tobias is a wimp as usual, and yeah, it's trash. It's very bad. Well, I don't know how long this recording file is going to be, but there you have it. We have ranked all the episodes of the entire Miller era. And so we have 4 episodes in Tribal section, then we have a handful of episodes in the Room for Improvement section, then a handful, let's see, so you have a few episodes in Tribal section, you have a handful of episodes in each section of your Room for Improvement and Good Concept, and then you have a load of episodes in the Rapper section, but honestly, yeah, that's pretty much the era itself. That's it. Well, Russell, how was that?
This was as stupid as I thought it was going to be. I can't believe I made it through this video without driving myself into a ravine.
Okay, what the heck is your problem, Russell? Hey guys! I made my tier list! Look at this! Of course you put all your episodes in the tolerable section.
Well, since we're on this topic, sharing each other's tier list, here is mine.
Holy moly! Why is the line of soda in the ass section? Why is Bangkok to the rescue and Room for Improvement? And what is Bangkok in the dark doing in the tolerable section? Russell! Ah!